welcome to the No Spin News, Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. Stand up for your country. So wherever I go, people know me. I have a very high Q rating. That means that there are surveys about people in the public eye, and they calibrate how many people know their names. And I'm in the 80s for the Q rating, and that's very, very high. So people know that when I walk into a place, what I do and who I am. And I get a lot of questions, and they're all very polite. I very, very rarely have any problems at all. I'm 6'4", about 200 pounds, and I'm not looking like I'm going to take a lot of insults, which is true. Anyway, one of the most common questions asked of me is, do you think the political divide in America will ever lessen? And my answer is a little bit, but not totally disappear, because we are living in a historical age where a lot of Americans are detached from reality. What does that mean? Well, there are a bunch of categories of detachment. Perhaps the most obvious is addiction. So if you're a drug addict or alcoholic, I mean, that's what your pursuit is. That's how you live. For intoxication, you're detached from the responsible pursuits of family, of friendship, of earning a living honestly, of loving your country. You want to get high, so you are detached, okay? Second is you're dumb. You don't know anything. You didn't pay attention in school. You don't read. You don't pay attention to the news. You don't know anything at all. So you're detached from what's happening day to day because you can't process it. And most of those people in that category don't care. They'd rather play their games on the video. They'd rather bet on games. It's games. Trivial pursuits, I call it. So they're detached from reality. So when you add it all up, there are millions and millions of Americans who just don't know or don't care to know what is going on. And they are easily manipulated, those people. The politicians and the press can manipulate them, tell them something, and they don't have enough skepticism and all of that. And when you are easily manipulated, okay, you'll fall for anything. So when there's a person like me who's fact-based, my entire life is fact-based, I take emotion out of decision-making. And I wish I had learned that lesson younger. I really do, because I was far too emotional in my first 5 or 6 decades on the planet. And then I said, this is not getting me anywhere. I'm not making the decisions in a clear-eyed, methodical way, which is what you have to do to protect yourself and your family and your friends. Okay? You can't be emotional all over the place. But I would say most Americans make decisions on emotion. Okay, so the divide is going to stay and be exploited. People make a lot of money dividing the people, and the press leads the league in that. And one of the big examples is ICE, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Tuesday, New York City, Chinatown. In the late afternoon, a flood of ICE agents, immigration agents, start to question people on the street, because everybody in New York knows that many of the street vendors are here illegally. That's how they make a living. They sell stuff on the street, knockoffs, food, whatever it may be. And ICE, their job is to find and detain people who should not be here. It's a simple job. I mean, you find them and you detain them. And then if there is a due process situation, then it goes to a judge. But there are a number of, let's say, rules for the road here. And people don't know them, but I'm going to tell you that. So this is from the New York Unified Court System, all right? An arrest of an illegal alien can trigger deportation immediately. Doesn't have to be a conviction. Okay? If you are arrested, you can be deported by the federal government. All right? Under this code. You can look it up yourself, usa.gov. So the U.S. may detain and deport non-citizens who participate in criminal acts. That means you're arrested, not convicted. Okay, you're in the system. Okay, are a threat to public safety. Any kind of threat. All right, violate your visa. Obviously, they don't have visas. They snuck across the border and are here under false pretenses. So that's pretty much every illegal alien can be taken in and deported. Now, the ones that don't have arrests or convictions, they're not considered criminal aliens. That's how they divide it up. However, if you get somebody who's associating with criminal aliens, then that person has to go before an immigration judge. Explain it. Doesn't it make sense to you? All right. So in the Chinatown raid, there were 9 people arrested. 9. 6 of the 9 have arrests on their sheet. Dope dealing, counterfeiting, serious stuff. 6 of the 9. The other 3 were associating. That are all taken in. Just 9. Could have taken in a lot more, trust me. But they took 9 in. That caused all kinds of horror as the groups descended on the ICE agents, screaming at them, spitting at them, doing all kinds of illegal things. And that should never have happened. Now, the far left doesn't want any kind of immigration enforcement. Let me back that up. Rasmussen report just out this week. 70% of Democrats want amnesty for illegal migrants. 70% of the party. They don't care how they got here, what they're doing here. Now, they didn't break it down on criminal, non-criminal, but 70%. So you know the Democratic Party, the liberal wing of America, does not want ICE tracking down anybody. That's where we have to start. Okay. I'm not going to go over the poll because that's the big number. On the Republican side, it's 65% want immigration law enforced. Talk about a divide. There you go. The far left has made it a cause to attack President Trump, and the protesters easily get out of control. Roll it.
We know that you serve a Nazi ethnic cleansing agenda. You are kidnapping at New Yorkers from the streets of New York. Can you live with yourself?
Ethnic cleansing, Nazi ethnic cleansing, according to that woman. You know, she's a loon. Total loon, emotion driven. Now, the far left and the media says ICE is provoking all this. No, ICE is doing its job. It's ordered by the Justice Department to find the 15 million foreign nationals that Joe Biden let into the country without any responsibility whatsoever. 15 million. I mean, the worst policy I've ever seen of any president ever, Joe Biden. So ICE isn't, in my opinion, inflaming anything the far left is. Let me back it up again. There's a congressman in New York. His name is Dan Goldman. Everybody knows Mr. Goldman is as liberal as it comes. You don't get more left-wing than Goldman. Here's what he says. Go.
We cannot tolerate masked agents. This is not a country that condones the KKK. That is what we associate masked individuals abducting people, violently assaulting people. That is not who we are in this country. We are a country of immigrants. If you have committed a crime, you should be deported. But over 70% of the people who are arrested in here have no criminal record. This is outrageous lawlessness that is a dragnet sweeping up U.S. citizens, including children.
Well, Mr. Goldman is misleading everybody. All right. Now, I'm not going to call him a liar because I don't think he wants to know the truth. All right. He doesn't wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to lie. He just takes the propaganda that's fed to him. Now, the 70% stat that he uses comes from an organization called TRAC, T-R-A-C. It's in Syracuse University, upstate New York. Okay. What TRAC is saying is that 70% of migrants who are being detained by Homeland Security don't have criminal convictions. How could they possibly have criminal convictions? Biden let them in. Okay, they haven't been all caught and adjudicated, but they don't need to be convicted in order to be deported. All you have to do is be arrested. Now, I don't even think Goldman's smart enough to know that. Now, he's not a smart guy, all right? He's just taking the propaganda fed to him. And it's an impossible standard. Convictions? Yeah, long it takes to get convicted. And where are you going to put these people? You're going to hold them until their trial comes up? No, they let them go. They don't show up for their hearings. And I'm generalizing, but that's pretty much what it is. You see, totally out of control. Goldman doesn't want to deport anybody. He doesn't want to protect anybody. He just wants to attack the opposition. Okay, we did a search, and we tried to find some Democrat during the Biden administration who spoke out against the open border. Now, we could find one who did it in public. His name is Dean Phillips. You might know him. He ran for president, Minnesota. Here's what he said. Go.
The other area I differ with him immensely is our southern border. I've been there twice, Dan. It is an unmitigated, embarrassing, unforgivable disaster.
Okay, so the entire Democratic Party backed Biden's open border, and now this country is paying a hellacious price, and that leads to the ICE raids, which again the Democrats are blaming not on Biden, but on Trump. Because most Americans want this to stop. They want, that's why Trump was elected. The immigration thing was the biggest issue. I think bigger than the economy. All right, now all of this protest amounts to nothing. Nothing. Because Donald Trump's going to do what he wants. He sealed the border very successfully. And now ICE is going to continue for the next 3 years to round up migrants and define their status. That's what they're going to do. And if you've been arrested, you're going to get deported. And if you have an order of deportation, even if you don't have an arrest, you're going to get deported because a judge signed that order. Far left is going to scream and scream and scream and scream and scream. It will not matter unless a Democrat is elected president next time around. Then it'll all change. And in the midterms, if the Democrats take control of Congress, they could solve the problem by passing immigration law, but they won't. You know that. And that's, there was a report, I got to correct this. The AP reported that 100 ICE agents going to San Francisco. President Trump called that off. So they're not going to go to San Francisco. I don't know why he called it off, but he did. That's the memo. If you are stressed about back taxes and maybe missed the April deadline or your books are a mess, act now. Because the IRS is cracking down and penalties are up to 25% just for not filing. Tax Network USA has helped thousands of Americans lift that burden. And they can help you, whether you are an employee, small business owner, or haven't filed in years. They have seen it all and know exactly how to clean it up. Tax Network USA's expert negotiators have direct access to powerful IRS programs, and they know how to win. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they will help you reduce or eliminate what you owe. Plus, they'll protect you from wage garnishments and bank levies. So please don't wait. 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/bill. That's tnusa.com/bill. All right, drug enforcement. Again, progressive left doesn't want this. It doesn't want to enforce the narcotics laws. It would rather watch 100,000 Americans die every year than enforce the laws because Trump wants to enforce the law. All right, let's walk through this. It's very similar. So on January 20th of this year, inauguration, Executive Order 14157 was signed by Donald Trump. And that designated certain international cartels as foreign terrorists. They're in Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, a few other countries. Okay? That meant the United States military could neutralize, that means kill, these terror groups. That's how we got rid of Al Qaeda. That's how we got bin Laden. That's how we got rid of ISIS. That's how we killed Soleimani. All you got to do is read Killing the Killers, my book. Okay? Boom, executive orders, they're done. Trump did the same thing with the narcotics importers. Same thing. So now they're blowing, and about 10 of boats have been blown out of the Caribbean and the Pacific that U.S. intel says were carrying drugs heading for the USA. Well, the left, where's the proof? Where's the proof? Okay, wait a minute. 370 suspected jihadists have been killed in the first 9 months of this year. 370. Where's the proof? You can't arrest them and bring them in. This is a combat situation. So this is so insane. Well, no, you can't. If we have information that a boat is carrying narcotics heading for the United States, even though an executive order on terrorism is signed, you don't have any right, this is the far left speaking, to take the boat out. Roll the tape.
In fact, many of these individuals are simply fishermen who have either been lured into this, coerced, some of them threatened, others are doing it for the money, and they admit that.
Well, and I just want to point out that them being fishermen and them being drug boats are also not quite mutually exclusive. In fact, some of the reporting suggests these men are fishermen. That's mostly what they do, and are also maybe taking payments to run boats that have drugs on them.
They have suggested they are members of a terrorist group, drug dealing terrorist group, and that's their justification internally for doing this. But there's been no legal matter, no legal process.
Yeah, there has been a designation of terror. Oh, they're just fishermen. Oh, yeah, no, just fishermen. No, I got 5 tons of cocaine, but they just fishermen. This is so insane. This is what the far left progressive movement is. They don't want to stop it. They don't, because Trump wants to stop it, they don't. Unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. You know, I can just see the CIA and the DEA, because we have agents in these countries, and they're the ones that are fingering these boats. I mean, it's just not, the military isn't saying, we want to kill a few fishermen today. Because if they did that and they got caught, all right, they would go to prison. Okay, we have laws here. If you violate the executive order that says it's drug involved, let's kill those people just looking for the tarpon. We'll just get them. Does that make any sense to you? And then they want, well, what's the legal process? What are you supposed to bring in, our informant in Venezuela and Mexico? You're supposed to bring the informants in? You know how long they would live? Crazy. Okay, let's go to the economy. Quinnipiac poll. Quinnipiac is so-so. And this is the big issue for the midterms. So President Trump, got to be on this. First question, do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump's handling the economy? Approve 38, disapprove 57. Not a good number for the president. Now, that is the high cost of buying stuff because people are working, plenty of jobs. It's the high cost of buying stuff. Political party, approval on the economy. Republicans, 88%. Disapprove 8. Democrats, approve of Donald Trump's on the economy, 2%. Disapprove 98. So there you go. I mean, it's like anything that Trump does, we hate him. We hate him, we hate him, we hate him. But there are very valid concerns about the economy. And one of them is the high price of everything. So the average cost for a family, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, they're pretty good researchers, all right, is now $27,000 to buy health insurance. Nobody can afford it, okay? So $27,000 a year to protect your family in case they get health problems, it's way out of line. Companies pay a lot of that. The company that you work for, sometimes, but some people don't have health insurance through their companies. And they got to pony up to $27,000, which they can't do, okay? Now, there is Medicaid for the poor. There's Medicare for senior citizens who are paid into it. Okay, poor have not paid into Medicaid, that's a gift. But Medicare we've all paid into, and that defrays. But there are people, and millions of them, who don't have health insurance, and they can't afford to get it. Government has to take that seriously. There has to be some oversight, because the insurance companies, in my opinion, and I've investigated this on my own personal level, are gouging. And I brought this up before. Every football game you watch, there are commercials for Progressive, State Farm, all of these insurance. This is costing these people hundreds of millions of dollars to run these ads. All right? And they're just passing that cost on to you. So there's got to be some government oversight here, because the insurance companies cross state lines. So it's got to be federal, it can't be state. You got a state insurance commission. So if you're in Wyoming and some insurance agent screws you, you go to the Wyoming authorities. But the big ones, Allstate and State Farm, all that, they're federal. Federal government's got to look at this and say, wait a minute, this is the margin, because the companies will just gouge you, and they don't care whether you have health insurance or not. If you die in the street, you think they care? The gecko cares? No. So this is a serious growing problem, and the Trump administration ought to really pay attention to it. Living on credit cards to cover daily expenses, then you know those interest rates are brutal. Why pay 20% or more to the banks? Instead, call my friends at American Financing. With mortgage rates in the fives, they can help you keep your hard-earned money right in your pocket and out of the hands of credit card companies. Right now, American Financing is helping homeowners save an average of $800 a month by using their home equity to wipe out high-interest debt. There's no upfront fees, no obligation, just a 10-minute call to a salary-based mortgage consultant. Plus, if you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments. That's more cash in your hands right away. So don't wait. Call American Financing right now. 888-462-9557. 888-462-9557. AmericanFinancing.net/bill. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or placed in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of 5-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. All right, final thought of the day. A woman in Florida, Sandy, and she's an older woman, and she had her money in Robinhood accounts. What is Robinhood accounts? Well, it's an online brokerage firm that was holding $25,000 of Sandy's money. And the reason it was because Sandy had given them $25K to invest in stocks and bonds. Well, Sandy wanted to close her account. Couldn't get her money back. Okay, $25K. And that's, if you're going to send your money online, this is always a possibility. If you give it to a bank or brokerage house, you walk in, okay, it's a lot different. So Sandy comes to me. I'm on Sandy's side. Sandy has no money for an attorney. Okay? Not unusual. I send Sandy to Legal Aid, which does a heck of a job. Charges Sandy $70, gets every cent back for her. $25,000. Legal Aid. Find out where your legal aid office is, the closest one to you. You may need it. All right? So Sandy, we're very, very happy we could help you. And we do that 200, 300 times a week. Concierge membership, BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you very much for watching No Spin News. I'll have a new column. I don't know what it's about yet, but I have to have it. So it'll be there Sunday, and we'll see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching. To view full episodes of the No Spin News anytime, sign up to become a BillO'Reilly.com premium or concierge member today.